Welcome back, folks. My name's Shane. You're listening to a clean tone test comparison with no post-production whatsoever between this budget Artist AT53 T-style electric guitar up against my beloved Fender American Original 50s Telecaster. Now, this is just a straight up tonal comparison going through each of the different pickups, and then we're going to talk about how these two guitars feel to play, because this thing has surprised me to no end. It's a budget guitar that comes in at around or just under 500 Australian dollars. Whereas mine went up. I think I paid $2,000 for this many years ago, and now they're like $2,800 if you can find them. So yeah, these are much more expensive, but the difference is far more minimal than I first thought. So we're going to go through each of the pickup combinations clean and dirty, and then we're going to talk about the overall playing experience, because there are some differences between these. I'm not going to say that this one absolutely wipes the floor with this one, but there's also some positives to this that aren't apparent on my much more expensive guitar. We'll talk about that at the end. Now, this is just on loan from Artist Guitars. I did a review of this. I'll put the paid promotion on screen because I've still got it here at the house, but they're not paying me to make this video, and all thoughts about this comparison of my own. Just to let you know, the amp I'm plugged into is the PV Bandit Red Stripe. We're on the Vintage Clean channel, and it's mic'd up with an AEA N22 ribbon microphone. There's a neck pickup. Let's talk about what I was hearing in the room when it came to the clean tones here, and then we'll get over to some dirty tones. So this definitely had the win when it came to that neck pickup position. It had a more balanced sound. It also had more treble, whereas this had more bottom end and less treble. And that's one of those things I mentioned in my review video of this. The neck pickup does have a bit more of that rolled out sound. Now, the strength of this one was both pickups. I thought it sounded every bit as good as this. That extra low end response mixed with the bridge pickup and the gnarliness of it gave me a great two pickup position on this. So yeah, could go either way there. And when it came to the bridge position, I'm still leaning towards this. But in terms of feel and playability, I need to get this set up. As it stands right now, this is actually easier to play. The stainless steel frets make a big difference. And yeah, it's just set up way better than mine. It kind of put into perspective how much I actually need to get this looked at. But yeah, feel-wise, on everything else being equal, they would both be great. I do love the neck on this. It's got one of those big U-shaped necks, whereas this is kind of chunky, but not too chunky. And yeah, that's just one of those things. But anyway, we're going to get over to some dirty tones now and talk about that experience. So let's do it. Let's go over to some lead tones now, thanks to the Royal Flush Dual Overdrive pedal. This is with the fat or the edge boost on. I've added some delay for this as well. This is bridge pickup. let's talk about the drive test tone. So one of the interesting things I've found over the years is once you start incorporating overdrive or distortion into your tone, it makes most guitars sound pretty similar. And this is where this really came alive. The neck pickup sounded fantastic on this guitar with the Royal Flush with that edge boost thing on. It really does come alive. Now that's not to say this didn't sound great, because it did, but they both now sound very similar to each other. I did like the overall balance of the bridge pickup here, especially on this particular test, but they're so much more similar once you start stacking drive on. So that's really cool. I think the takeaway here is if you're comparing guitars clean, and if you like to play clean, this is where you'll hear the biggest difference. As soon as I clicked on the Royal Flush Dual Overdrive pedal, there was far less difference between both of these guitars than before. And this is just one of those things I've noticed for years. It almost doesn't even matter once you start adding drive or distortion to your signal. Many guitars can sound the same, whether you're playing a Strat or a Telecaster. The voicing will come from the amp and effects pedal. So there was far less difference with that test. I actually really thought this came alive on the neck pickup there. It was a real pleasure to play. The bridge pickup on this gets the win for the dirty tones, but it was very similar otherwise. And you know, the takeaway should be that if you've got a decent amp, and you've got a decent pedal, or if you're just using a dirty channel on an amp that sounds good, you can definitely make any guitar work in 2025, man. This thing is so good for its price. And sure, the neck pickup was just a little bit muddy, but I bet if I backed off the bass on the clean tone, I could get a very comparable sound. So let's do it. Yeah, so to get that exact or very similar sound, I actually think this sounds better now. I just dialed up the presence a little bit, backed off the bass and mids, and that's the sound. Maybe the takeaway should be learn how to use your amp, dial in the EQ, and you'll get a great sound out of almost anything. Thanks for watching.